Awesome. And then how do I do this? Do I just turn off and then hide?
Oh, let me, yeah, so.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Hide non-video for, all right, perfect, got it. All right, done. Yeah, cool. Well, thank you guys for coming to this little Q&A for us. We really appreciate you all showing the entire group. I think this is the first time we had the entire group. The last group, I know, and you guys are like the biggest group too, which is like amazing. Yeah, no, I really appreciate you all like coming here and taking the time for this. And I guess just to start, I wanted to get an idea of like introduce each of you and your role in the film and the film name, and yeah, that's it. I guess I'll start with Connor, and then Connor, you can just pass it on to someone, and then we'll just go from there. So yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I worked in the film on GSOB, the diner robot, and a couple of the background characters for modeling, rigging, and texturing. And then on top of that, I also worked partly on Wadi's lair, on designing that and creating that whole entire aspect. So that was sort of my role in the project. And I'll pass it on to Mike.
Oh, of course. For pre-production, I did 3 character designs. It was like, one was like a cowboy robot, and another one was actually modeled after our instructor. Sort of plays a minor role. He's like the blue one. And I think the third one was like that fancy looking guy with the fedora and the dive bar. And for environment, I did the main city that the story takes place in. I think we called it Battery City. And for the actual production, I did mostly camera work and a little bit of lead animating, and I think I have director credit as well. So I'll pass it on to Jeremy.
Okay, so my role in this, I modeled and created the initial versions of the Megabytes Diner, which appears a lot in this. I also created, textured, and rigged the gangster characters from during the flash dive scene. And other than that, just worked on animating some of the background characters so that it wouldn't seem like an empty city that our film is taking place in. I'll pass to Alyssa.
All right. In terms of what I created our little sidekick antagonist Wadi. I also did the news reporter, as well as the little mice that you see scurrying about throughout the whole scene as well. I also created the scene, the dive bar itself, like set up like the bar and stuff. And I also acted as a producer role in a way. I helped like organize things and like, hey, let's do this by this time and stuff like that. Let's pass it on over to Emily.
All right, so I did the model for Crane, the main character, the cops, and then a few background robots. And then I did the environment design for the circuit district and part of Wadi's lair. And I did all the sound effects and the editing. And I'll pass it on to Lauren.
Okay, so I modeled Crane's office, and I had to think about it for a bit of what I actually did. I'm glad I didn't get to go until last. So I modeled Crane's office. I modeled the Bostitute robots that we see in the flash dive scene, and then I also did the voice of Wadi. And then we have the voice of Crane here as well. I don't think I missed much else. Mostly I did environment building and character building, and maybe some post-production. Is there anyone else? I think that was all of us, right?
I think that was it. Oh my gosh, great. I get to see and the voices too. It's crazy to see that you all did I don't know, everything. It's a literal, it's an entire crew and cast.
Yeah.
That must have been insane. I guess I have tons of questions, but I guess maybe I'll start with the general to Alyssa. And sort of, you said you acted as the producing role and sort of gathering the whole team together, and how do those roles take place? Is that with Monmouth University, or is that up to really you guys to like decide? And yeah, just your journey being the producer for the team.
See, we all started off being in the same class. We were pretty much the only animation students within the class of 2021, I think we were technically. And so as a result, for our senior thesis project, we had to create an animated short for our university, and we talked to each other, and we wanted to do something big together. And I thought about it like, hey, let's do robots. And there was actually an assignment called the film noir assignment that inspired us to go to the detective route, the like robot detectives. And as a result, we started doing the pre-production. We were so excited. We were in front of the class talking about our stuff, and then the pandemic happened. So we all ended up separated, but we ended up working on a lot over the summer of 2020, making the characters, making the models and stuff. And then once we started meeting again for online classes, we got on to like further making the actual animation and stuff like that. So as a result, after our film has been premiered in virtual events, now here we are.
Oh, that's amazing to hear. No, that's awesome. I can't imagine. I mean, who am I gonna speak to this? I guess generally how anyone can speak really, but like, what was it like just animating and during COVID? I've never actually, I don't know too many animators. I've always been surrounded by like cinematographers and directors in like narrative filmmaking, but not animation. So I'm really interested to see like what was that on your end. I guess anyone could speak on that.
Well, some of us, the program we mainly used for the animation is Maya, and some of us had it on our machines, others didn't. So we had to figure out how to all get our work done, as well as later on figuring out how to share all our files between each other, because it's not like we can just walk up to each other and hand it off a flash drive. So that was just a few little hurdles we had to figure out in the start.
Yeah, and to sort of piggyback off of Jeremy, I remember for me specifically, I did not have Maya on my computer, so I was having to use the remote lab, which was kind of connecting to the computers at Monmouth through my computer at home, which sometimes would deal with Wi-Fi issues and everything, and was a problem to begin with. But so there was little obstacles to overcome throughout it, but it definitely paid off in the end, which was nice.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I can't imagine. I had to use Splashtop to like edit my footage, and everything was on a shared. It was not good. I mean, it was nice for what we had. It was nice, but it was everything lagged. So I get the struggle of trying to work remotely when you don't have like the resources there. But I mean, it worked out at the end, and I think the short film was really well made, and our jurors really loved like every aspect of it. We definitely got the film noir aspect of it too, and the technique. I guess my what stuck out when you guys were introducing each other, I think for I guess this is a question for Mike. You mentioned you did a little bit of lead animating. I was curious what I guess that means, and how you sort of took part in this collaboration process as the lead animator, and directing as well. I think that's like a huge role, and I congratulate you on that, because it's I don't know. I would love to know more about the collaboration process on your end.
Okay, yeah. So in terms of directing, that was kind of the easier part, because the cool part about directing animated characters is that you can make them do whatever you want. unlike real people. That's always a lot more fun. But lead animating, we split the animation into background animators and lead animators. And doing the lead was mostly myself and Alyssa. And what you do, it's animating the main characters. So like Crane or Wadi or G-Sob. And well, it's all keyframe animation. So it's just a lot of like placing frames and moving the characters bit by bit and just creating the action. And I also did a lot of the camera. I shot the whole thing as well, which we decided pretty early on just for the sake of a consistent cinematic look. And so that's a lot of fun because I get to place the characters and like decide how far away they are. And yeah, that's pretty much what I did for it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. How is, I am very unfamiliar, but how is the, like, what did you mean with like camera work? Like, how did you all like collaborate in creating just the shot list of the scenes? And I guess this is really an everyone question. Like,
okay.
was one person dedicated to do the shot list? Was I like, how did this how does it work with amongst like a group of 6?
I just took like the whole thing just because we realized early on it would be really complicated to split it up because everyone sort of has their own, because prior to this we did our own individual projects where we had to do everything by ourselves, but because this was a big group collaboration, we just decided it'd be easier to just have one person do it so that it's more consistent. So I just went through each scene and just moved the little virtual camera around and just set it up for each of them.
Cool. So you guys were saying before about like how you guys had like obstacles like the software, not having access to software or machines or stuff like that. Was there anything else like aside from like like technical issues, I guess, like just what kind of like obstacles creatively did you guys like kind of face while in production?
Well, I'm not sure if
harder to. Oh, sorry, Jeremy.
my bad, but I'm not sure if it would technically be considered a problem. But when I initially created like the diner, I had textured and shaded a certain way. Then it was handed off, and we agreed that I could use some work. And I forget who it was, but someone did an updated version of the textures that we used for them.
I think that was me and Emily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Lauren were the set dressers. But I feel like the hardest part was not being with each other. Because when you're in the same room, like you can walk around to each other's computers and like kind of see what's going on. But we all like, I worked at like 4 a.m. Mike's an early riser, so he's like getting his start at like 7 a.m. and that's when I'm going to bed. So it's like we're never on the same page, but we made it work.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh my God. Sorry,
Yeah,
Kevin. Go on.
No, that's impressive because like I know like the world of animation is like you're spending long nights doing maybe like one thing and then it's just like maybe one thing is just not working and then it's like art but like coding art or something like that. It's just the only analogy I can think about. But yeah, no, that's super cool. So with going back to the kind of like camera and look and stuff, what kind of inspirations did you guys take from for like the overall kind of feel and vibe?
We did reference a lot of old film noir, and we tried to kind of like replicate it the best that we could. I will say in the beginning, our expectations, we really kind of aesthetically hoped to do more, just like in terms of we really wanted like atmospheric fog throughout the whole thing. We really wanted it to feel like just a little bit like grittier than we kind of maybe finally ended it up with, but with the limitations that we had not being on location and like animation being such a computer heavy thing and not all of us having computers, myself included, that can handle creating things like atmospheric smoke. we had to kind of give some things up. But a lot of references to like old film noir films were pretty much where we drew most of our inspiration from, I think.
When you said fog, I can just hear the computer fans whirring.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Exactly.
that's super cool though. I'm trying to think of another question. Emily, you go.
All right. I guess this is a more specific question, but off of Kevin's question, this is more maybe those who worked on the diner. I think it was Connor and Jeremy and maybe a few that I might be missing. But I wanted to, honestly, all of you maybe, but I wanted to get an idea. I guess Connor could start. Like, how did you, or Jeremy as well, like how did you come, like, I don't know, start from scratch? I don't know, for film it's like you can just go to a diner, you're like, yep, this is it. And like, how'd you guys like be like, yep, this is the diner? Like how did you guys discuss on like what the diner would look like? I know there's like a film noir influence which could help, but I wanted to get like a, I guess, rack your brain a bit about how you actually achieved the look you wanted.
There was, like you said, the film noir inspiration, but it was also not taking it, going onto Google and looking up like old diner looks or classic diners and using that as the inspiration or reference of how things should look.
Yeah, and for me, when I worked on, for example, I worked on Waddy's Lair. It was just more like thinking of like a grungy area where like this villain would be hiding out and sort of taking influence from there.
No, that must have been fun. What did you guys have, like a whole outline of like a blueprint of your own diner, or were you just like, this is?
For like our various characters and locations, we made a ton of like storyboard or general sketches just to give like, okay, here's a sketch of the diner in its most basic framework or skeleton, and then built off of that.
That's awesome. I might go into more creative specifics on each of you, so don't, because I have like, I'm very curious. So that's really cool to hear about the diner. I can't imagine like making the environment of the diner and starting from scratch that way, because let alone like just, I don't know, it's not related, but just like, you know, I think I have a hard time thinking of like remotely titles, like anything just to think of from like a blank page is really difficult. So I applaud you guys. And then Emily, you mentioned you did sound effects as well. Is this something you are interested? I think me and Kevin and the jury were all like really, really impressed with the sound quality, like just the sound in general and the soundscape and the robots. And I just wanted to get an idea of, you know, it seemed like there were a lot of elements to the story, and sound is super, super important. So I just wanted to get a sense of like how that process went and, you know, what went into that.
Yeah, so like when you're working on an animated film, obviously there's no sound to start with. So like you have to make it feel like a lived in space. So you need like layers of like background sound and like atmospheric sound. And Lauren helped me with some of it too. And the robot sound, actually, it's a chair, like an office chair being lowered, and like the pitch has changed and like there's like reverb added and stuff like that, so it's really funky. And but we watched like a lot of like Foley artists on YouTube. We did our research, watched some like Wally sound effects, like checked it all out. But it was definitely something I wanted to do, like when we started planning like who was going to do what. I was like, I would like to do that. So, and it goes along with editing, so it was easy for me to do both.
That's crazy. I mean, honestly, I love those things where it's like, oh, the sound of like the dinosaur is really just like a garbage pit, like a garbage dump. It's like someone throwing a garbage in the dump or whatever. It's like, what? Because yeah, Kevin and I had to take like a sound class once, and we had to work with Foley, so it's very different. That there's a lot of time into that and patience. So yeah, that's huge. And was it ever difficult to find like the voice for the robots, or was that
No, actually. So Noah is Lauren's boyfriend, also a Monmouth alumni. So we had a few people that we knew voice them, and then we kind of just messed around and like Premiere with the like sound effects, like to make it sound more robotic. But that was, I mean, that's how we did it. Not really computer generated, more like just a couple overlays on Noah's voice.
Lauren, God, you guys had,
Yes.
did they make you do an experiment wacky thing? No, I'm kidding. But like, yeah, no, I did. I wanted to ask like the whole voice thing and if this is how, you know, from your own perspectives, like elaborate on that side.
Would you like to go first?
I think I was trying to base it off of, what was it, Into the Spideyverse with the
Yes.
Spider-Man noir. And who was the voice actor?
It was Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage. He does a very good voice for that because of the noir type of vibe it was going for. I was really trying to play off that. And me and Lauren were she played Waddy, and we were just shooting the lines back and forth. And thankfully, Emily hooked it up with a good overlay and all that because it was good stuff and it was fun.
And then a good friend of mine did the voice of the robot Tiff. So it was all very people we knew, just people who were willing to do so. He went to school for communication, so his degree was completely behind a microphone. So he literally was trained to do it. So it would have been silly had we not used him. My friend who voiced Tiff is a professional singer, so we just kind of used the assets that we had around, and we just could riff kind of between Calder and Waddy. So that's how that kind of ended up staying the way it is now.
I love Nicolas Cage. Oh my God. You guys seem like you had so much fun with it. I really appreciate that. That must have been the fun. I don't know. I think that sounded like the most fun part.
One thing we did have a lot of fun with was coming up with the robot puns for all the names.
Yes. Very much so. Everyone's we kind of tried to fit in as many like robot jokes that we could throughout the names in the script and like the names of places, really anything. We wanted to just make it a gag.
Yeah, like even the names of characters, like Waddy. Like when you think about it, who's Holmes's assistant? Watson. So
I just got that.
Yeah.
That's perfect segue. So, and I guess this is kind of like a more specific to kind of like Waddy, but like also I guess, you know, all like the characters or the main characters, like what was kind of like the process of like from kind of creating the character to, or I guess more like modeling the character, thinking about the character and like kind of the early stages of that, and then to like actually like the final product, and also kind of I guess having a model that also matches with the voice, I guess, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, because he's got the mustache too.
Actually,
Alyssa, go first with that one because you're the one who made him.
Yeah. So actually, when I created Waddy was actually the first thing I kind of like doodled up when we were thinking about the idea of a detective film story. And I was just imagining this little cute little robot in this big trench coat, kind of like, you know, how, you know, those kids that are wearing like their parents like work clothes. Like I just imagined that, and I felt like that would be perfect for like a character who wants to get into something but is not quite ready for it. So I kind of wanted to create this character that's both cute but at the same time very expressive. So I actually his eyes are, for example, are all 2D animated frames actually. Like I have like I'd say 20 or 15 to 20 different expressions for Waddy that I have a switch that you can switch in between within the scenes. So then like I wanted that from like the get-go and stuff, and I was able to find a way to execute that. So then I'm from making the character, like it's just like take a cube, stretch it, make it put some things on it, wrap it in a texture pretty much like wrapping paper, make sure it moves where it's supposed to, and then off he goes. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I loved all the models and everything. I like the I like it like all the characters have like, you know, the fabric kind of, or their clothes. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like it's metal, right? But like it's still like human.
Like
kind
gives the illusion that it's
of-
still
yeah,
like
exactly.
cloth.
Yeah, I really think it's like really well done. And then the texturing, I'm like looking at it right now. The texturing and the like the normal maps and all that. Like actually, yeah, that's another thing. How'd you, so for like the textures and the bump maps and stuff, like how'd you guys find stuff for that?
Well, like the character I made, the gangsters, like on their face, there's like those little like dance that are meant to be scars. Technically, all I did for that was I brought its UV map, which in simple terms is the 3D shape unfolded into 2D, and just drew black lines on it. And in Maya, it translates that as creating like a dent. It's not officially there, but like it's not on the model, but it's there visually as a texture.
For the other stuff too, like for the metal surfaces or the stones, there are resource websites that our professor kind of guided us to, that had a lot just like pre-made, like at hand ones, but there was more specific ones like Jeremy said. And I think Emily might have also as well had to make, I'm sure actually most of us probably had to make at least a couple of them from scratch, but thankfully there are like resources out there made by like also professionals who are make very good quality ones. So it's really just like there's libraries out there that we could choose from if it's something we couldn't make ourselves.
That's super cool and resourceful. That's yeah, I went down this kind of like, I think like 2 years ago. Well, I took a 3D animation class in school. I retained none of it, but I always think it's like super cool, and like just the ways that like people, you know, make things work, and like kind of like, I guess, I don't know, trick the eye into making something visually work. Because a lot of, I feel like sometimes with animation you kind of like, there's ways to get away with things. Like I just, this one particular, I remember seeing this kind of like be like, oh, interesting, was when the detective finds like the lair, and then he's walking, but like I I figure since you don't have to animate the feet, guys didn't animate the feet, and kind of just had him like bobbing from like screen or from like left to right or something. I think like stuff like that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Who
we'd
animated
only.
Sorry, Mike. I said who animated that scene because I'm pretty sure he is.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he actually is.
The rule of thumb is if it's not in frame, don't touch it because it's a waste of time.
Yeah, pretty much. Like sometimes like you can, there are just things you can just kind of get away with. Like it shaves, like I said, he said it kind of just shaves off time very easily, as well as like still gets the point across at the same time too.
Cool. Well, I think that's our 30, well, over 30, but that's okay. No, thank you guys. I had one last question. I wanted to ask all of you, each individual one, if you're open and comfortable with saying what's next for you guys and what's next for Indemnity, like in terms of like the festival run. And honestly, yeah, I think it's more interesting to see what, you know, you guys are fresh graduates, and I'm very curious like what you guys are up for next and what's next after college. It's the most exciting thing. Oh man, I don't want to pick, but okay, I'll pick Alyssa this time.
What's next? I loved working in something like this. It's just really exciting to just be able to work with people to may have a creative vision come to life. And I found that through 3D animation, I found that this was something that I really love to do. This was something that I am more than happy to get into, like when I like apply for jobs and stuff, and out in the real world. This is the type of thing that I want to do. So as a result, like right now I'm still like looking on, I'm just doing some freelancing on the side at the moment, but because animation is a very competitive field and it takes time to get where you are. But at the end of the day, I think it's all going to be worth it, because this is something that I know that I love. This is something I know that I want to do. And in the future, I can't exactly say what will happen in the future, but we'll see, just see what happens, you know?
Oh, so exciting to hear. Yeah, it's the uncertainty is always scary, but that's the fun part of it when you actually get into the tornado bit. Yeah, no, I hope you the best.
Thank you. Mike, do you want to go or?
Sure. Well, since I graduated, I've just been working, not really related to any of this stuff. Nothing like Indemnity at least, but I'm sure I'll get back into it one day. It's kind of hard to leave it. I'll pick somebody. Connor, I'm getting you back.
It's fine with me. So I've been working for this company, AVAP, which is a consulting firm, which has nothing to do with the Indemnity. But there is sort of, I'm on the marketing team, so I'm sort of working with animation. It's just more 2D style and making little GIFs and such for the company. So I'm sort of bringing that style of animation into the company because they don't have anything really like that. It was more just putting out graphics, and now I'm sort of bringing the animation side to the company. So that's a pretty cool thing that I've been doing with them. But that's it right now. I'll pick on Emily now.
Sorry. So I'm working at Card Snacks in New York, which is an app company, and I animate like greeting cards, like animated greeting cards. So Connor actually interned with me there, and I stayed. But other than that, not much. Lauren?
Okay. Well, I, like Alyssa, have been taking the freelance route. Did definitely try to get a couple jobs after graduating. Didn't really turn out in my favor, but that's all right because the freelance has been going really well. I work with a marketing agencies every once in a while. I've done a couple 2D animated music videos with them. But I'm only not sitting at home right now because I took this call while I'm working on a project right now in Asbury. I'm currently painting a mural on one of the buildings here. So that's what I'm up to now. Freelancing, just trying to make things work, but trying to stay in the arts as much as possible and just make it out here. Jeremy.
The moment I'm still trying to find a job in the field, and as mentioned, it's a very competitive one, so it's not always going to be getting exactly what you want when you start, but trying and working on other projects and trying to learn other programs to expand my skills.
Oh, that's really cool to hear. No, I'm glad you all are still like, still somewhat trying to keep working on it. And I think we're all in the same boat here. We're still trying to, it's honestly a matter of how long, you're able to stay in the field. And I think you guys have what it takes because you guys definitely shown that you can do Indemnity is definitely something great to, prove that you guys are very able to animate. So I don't know, congratulate you guys on just this project. And I really, really hope you the best. I mean, you guys are still fresh out of, one COVID and two Mammoth. So yeah, I'm glad. I hope to see you guys soon and around. And if you guys are making anything new, let us know. And if I ever have stuff, I'll try my best to reach out to you guys if I ever need like freelancing or I don't know if there's anything that comes my way because I always like reconnecting Jersey folks around. So yeah, no, it's great to see like everyone's all sorts of backgrounds here. But yeah, Kevin, do you have anything else to say?
I mean, you kind of I love animation.
Okay,
No, I love animation, and I love just the style. Like this thing just like oozed the style, and I love it so much. Like I really animation is just one of those things that's like we have like stuff like Pixar or like DreamWorks and stuff like that, but like seeing it done on the more like local level is really refreshing to see.
Thank you guys, it's really kind of you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, I hope see you guys around. Thank you for sticking around for more than 30 minutes. I really appreciate you guys.
No, I had nothing on my schedule.
Well, that's good to hear. Okay. Well,